They love you completely. Then they hate you completely. And psychology says neither reaction is manipulation. It is the most painful emotional experience a human being can live inside. And the last thing I cover today will change everything about how you see them. You have never felt anything halfway. When you love someone, it consumes you completely. When you feel abandoned, the pain is not proportionate to what happened. It is total, immediate, like a wound that should not be that deep from something that small. And you have spent your entire life being told you are too much, too intense, too sensitive, too reactive, too everything. Nobody ever told you there was a name for what you experience, and that the name changes everything about the way you see yourself. Psychology calls it borderline personality disorder, and it is one of the most misunderstood and most stigmatized conditions in the entire field. But nobody tells you this part. BPD is not a character flaw. It is not attention seeking. It is not manipulation dressed as emotion. It is what happens to a nervous system that never learned to regulate because the environment it developed in never gave it the safety it needed to learn how. Dr. Marcia Linehan, who developed the most effective treatment for BPD, described people with this condition as having the emotional equivalent of third-degree burns over their entire body. Everything hurts more. Everything lands harder. The feelings that most people experience as manageable waves arrive for someone with BPD as tsunamis. And here is exactly what that looks like from the inside. The fear of abandonment is not rational, it is physiological. Someone with BPD does not choose to panic when a person they love goes quiet. The panic arrives before the conscious mind has time to evaluate whether the threat is real, because somewhere in the development of their nervous system, usually in early childhood, in environments where attachment was inconsistent or threatening or both, the brain learned that people disappearing is dangerous, and it responds to even the suggestion of that danger with everything it has. That is not drama. That is a nervous system doing exactly what it learned to do to survive. The emotional shifts are not manipulation. They are exhaustion. The person with BPD is not switching between loving you and hating you to control you. They are living inside an emotional experience that has no volume dial, no middle setting, no ability to feel something partially and then set it aside. When the love is present, it is overwhelming. When the fear arrives, it replaces the love so completely that the love feels inaccessible. And when the fear passes, the love returns just as completely. To the person on the outside, this looks like instability, like unpredictability, like someone who cannot be trusted to feel the same way tomorrow. But here is the part that changes everything. To the person on the inside, it feels like being trapped in a body that experiences everything at maximum volume, with no way to turn it down and no way to explain to the people they love most why they cannot simply choose to feel less. The self-image does not stay stable because it was never allowed to form properly. Most people have a consistent sense of who they are that persists across different relationships in different contexts. The person with BPD often does not have that anchor. Their sense of self shifts depending on who they are with, what is happening in the relationship, how safe they feel in the moment, not because they are empty, but because in the developmental period when that sense of self was supposed to form, the environment was too chaotic or too invalidating or too unsafe for the process to complete. Here is the last thing, the one that changes how you see this condition completely. The people who love most fiercely, who feel most deeply, who are most devastated by loss and most overwhelmed by connection, and most desperate to hold on to the people who matter to them, are often the people whose capacity to feel was never the problem. It was the absence of anyone who taught them that feeling that much was safe. BPD is not too much emotion. It is too much emotion with nowhere safe to put it. And understanding that is not just important for the people who love someone with BPD. It is the most important thing a person with BPD can ever hear about themselves. You were not born broken. You were born feeling everything in an environment that could not hold it. That is not the same thing. Drop it in the comments if this finally explains something about yourself or someone you love that nothing else has been able to capture. Because the most misunderstood people are almost always the ones who feel everything the most.